In the long, quiet hours before dawn, when the embers of memory still glow faintly against the dark, I find myself drawn back to Caelid, a cursed land now, yes, a wasteland of rot and sorrow, but it was not always so. Once, before the scarlet bloom, before the madness, before the howling in the dunes, there was a lion. I speak, young listener, of General Radahn, the Red Lion, the Starscourge, a name that once thundered across the lands between like a war drum. A name that even now, in whispers and in fear, the old soldiers still speak, and if you will sit with me a while, I shall tell you his tale, not the legend, not the myth, but the truth of who he was, what he became, and what his fate still means for the world that survived him. Act 1. The Lion's Cub. He was born a champion's cub. His father was Radahn, leal hound of the Golden Order, champion of the Erd Tree. His mother was Renala of the Full Moon, queen of the Carian royal family and head of the Academy of Raya Lucaria. Royal blood on both sides. Yet blood alone does not forge a legend. Radahn came into this world after the Second Liurnian War, alongside his siblings Rykard and Rani. And from the very beginning there was something about the red-haired boy that set him apart. He did not merely inherit his father's flaming crimson mane, he adored it. He saw in it the mark of heroism, a sign, perhaps, of the destiny that awaited him. From his earliest days, young Radahn fixated on one figure above all others, Godfrey, the first Elden Lord, the lion, the warrior king, who had carved the lands between into submission with nothing but his axe and his indomitable will. Radahn studied him, worshipped him, and in time, he would seek to emulate him, adorning his armor with lions, the symbol of Godfrey, and his spectral beast, Serosh. The cub was learning to roar. But fate is rarely kind to those who dream of glory. Godfrey was robbed of grace and hounded from the lands between, cast out like a stray dog when his wars were done. And then came the crueler blow. Radahn, Radahn's own father, abandoned Renala to become Queen Marika's new consort, the second Elden Lord. Imagine it, young one, to see your hero exiled, to watch your father leave your mother for a queen of gold, and yet by some twist of fate, Radahn and his siblings were raised to demigod status by their new stepmother Marika. They were no longer merely the children of champions, they were demigods now. But before the fire, there was the boy and his horse. Radahn had a steed, a scrawny, thin-legged creature named Leonard. Any other warrior would have cast aside such a mount. Laughable, they would say, unworthy of a general. But Radahn loved Leonard, and he refused to abandon him. So he did something remarkable, something I have seen no other warrior ever attempt. He journeyed to Celia, the town of sorcery, and studied gravitational magic under a master who was an alabaster lord, not for power, not for conquest, but so that he could lighten his own weight and continue to ride his beloved horse. Think on that a moment. The mightiest warrior of his age, studying the arcane arts of gravity for love of a horse. This was Radahn. This was the heart beneath the lion's mane. In Celia he befriended the Albinoric Gaius, a senior disciple of his teacher. The two formed a fierce and friendly rivalry, and through Gaius, Radahn came to know Messmer the Impaler, his stepbrother, and the two became as elder brothers to the young demigod. Radahn was not alone in the world, not yet. It was in Celia that Radahn's legend truly began to crystallize. A threat emerged, the Starscourge conflict. The stars themselves threatened the town, and Radahn rose to meet them. Using his mastery of gravitational magic, he challenged the very heavens. He conquered the stars, he arrested their cycles, he halted fate itself, and the people gave him a new name, Starscourge. He engraved the gravity crest upon his blades. He had become what he always dreamt of being, a hero, a protector, a lion. His soldiers, the Redmanes, wore the red-maned lion upon their surcoats, raising a sword in his image. The longest serving among them, Oga, had studied gravitational techniques alongside Radahn in Celia. It was said and believed that the Redmanes knew no weakness. A guest commander, Gerran of the Carian royals, swore a mutual oath of honorable death with the general, and a gladiator named Freya, whose valor Radahn witnessed in the arena, accepted his offer to join his knights. This was Radahn at his peak, surrounded by loyal warriors, beloved by his men, feared by his enemies, master of the stars. But the stars he had conquered would not be the only thing to fall. Act 2, the Scarlet Bloom, the Knight of the Black Knives. You have heard the name. Godwyn the Golden was slain, and in response Queen Marika shattered the Elden Ring itself. Her demigod children, Radahn among them, claimed the great runes that spilled forth, and with that power came madness. The shattering began, a war between demigods, each believing themselves the rightful heir to the lands between. From his stronghold of Redmane Castle in the Caelid wilds, Radahn led his armies against all challengers. He marched on Godric the Grafted in Limgrave, but Godric hid behind the walls of Stormvale Castle, too craven to face the lion in open battle. One by one, the pretenders fell, and at the end, only two remained standing, Radahn and his half-sister, Malenia, Blade of Miquella. The Battle of Aeonia. I was not there, but I have seen the aftermath, and I can tell you that the echoes of that day still scream across the dunes. The two greatest warriors of their generation clashed amidst fields that would become wasteland. Sword against sword, wrought against gravity, neither would yield, they fought to a stalemate, neither could claim victory. And in that moment of desperate equilibrium, Malenia made a choice that would damn an entire region to eternal decay. She unleashed the scarlet rot. The scarlet Aeonia flower blossomed upon the battlefield, a thing of terrible beauty, petals unfurling in the blood-red sky. And as the rot consumed everything it touched, Malenia whispered into Radahn's ear words that I have puzzled over for centuries. Miquella awaits thee, O promised consort. What vow had Radahn made, in the innocence of youth, to his Empyrean half-brother Miquella? What pact had been sealed beneath kinder skies? The sources speak of a promise that Miquella would uphold some unspecified part of a vow if Radahn would become his consort upon Miquella's ascension to godhood. But the details, they remain shrouded, lost to the mists of time and to the fever dreams of the rotted. I cannot tell you what Radahn truly promised. Perhaps no one can, but I can tell you what the rot did. The scarlet rot did not kill Radahn. It was crueler than that. It ravaged Caelid, turning lush fields into crimson hellscapes. It consumed Radahn from the inside, eating away at his mind, his reason, his very self. His feet rotted away. His psyche shattered into fragments. He became a mindless beast, roaming the wailing dunes, devouring the flesh of friend and foe alike, howling at a sky that no longer answered. And yet, even in madness, two things remained. He still rode his scrawny steed Leonard, gravity magic sustaining the bond that even the rot could not sever. And he still held the stars. Even with his mind in ruins, the Starscourge kept his vigil. The heavens remained frozen, locked in place by the sheer residual will of a demigod who had forgotten everything except his duty. His red-maned knights did not abandon him. They burned the crest on the left breast of their armor, a mark of their resolve never to return home. They became a bulwark against the spread of the rot, wielding fire against the scarlet tide. And they organized the Radahn festival, a gathering of mighty warriors from across the lands between, not to celebrate, but to give their general the one thing he could no longer claim for himself, an honorable death. Act 3. What the lion left behind, the festival drew champions, and one, a tarnished of no renown, succeeded where armies had failed. In the wailing dunes, beneath a sky that had not moved in an age, the tarnished gave Radahn his final battle, and the red lion fell. The moment his heart stopped, the stars resumed their cycles. Some came crashing down upon the lands between. One such falling star opened the path to Nokron, the eternal city, and allowed the fate of Rani the Witch, Radahn's own sister, to progress at last. Even in death, he shaped the destiny of the world. But the story does not end there. None ever truly do in the lands between. In the realm of shadow, Miquella the Kind, the Empyrean who had once admired Radahn as a boy, sought to fulfill the ancient vow. He retrieved Radahn's soul and placed it within a vessel made from the remains of Mog, Lord of Blood. Radahn returned, not as the Red Lion of Caelid, but as promised consort Radahn standing guard at the gate of divinity, as Miquella completed his ascension to godhood. The same tarnished who had freed Radahn now faced him once more, this time with Miquella himself upon his back, the god and his consort fighting as one. The battle was apocalyptic, blood flame and gravity magic intertwined, holy light and scarlet memory. But the tarnished triumphed. Radahn fell a second time, and Miquella's age of compassion was prevented. So I ask you, young listener, which was the truer death? The first, when the mindless beast was given peace upon the dunes, or the second, when the resurrected consort was struck down defending a god who had once looked upon him with a child's admiration? Perhaps the answer lies not in how Radahn died, but in what he refused to let go. His horse, his stars, his duty. Even when his mind was ash, these things endured. The lion's body failed, the lion's mind shattered. But the lion's heart never stopped. And somewhere, in the lonely reaches of the Caelid dunes, if you listen closely when the wind is right, you can still hear him, not howling in madness, but roaring in defiance, a general who would not yield, a brother who held the stars, a friend who would not abandon his horse, the Red Lion, the Starscourge, General Radahn. May we all be remembered so well.